Stuff look easier?
Yeah, so when you're on the phone with someone, it's like, wow, that actually was easier tonight than my role play call. Yes, Jackie?
So I'm just curious, because obviously you're successful at this, you've been for years, and yet you still have all these role play sessions. Would there be a point where you wouldn't have role play sessions?
Dave Norberg's been doing 27 years, still role plays 5 days a week, right? So I'm gonna go with that model. I like his plan. Seriously, and for me, it's all about getting better. And I mean, I'll still on role play calls start sweating. On role play calls, that's how serious we take it. You know, it's awesome. I love it. However, what does that do for me when I give a seller a call?
More comfortable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I've heard it. You know, what ends up happening is every once in a while, I get if somebody throws an objection at me, I get, you know, I can't get past it, or I've never heard it before, so I stumble a little bit. And then what do? I never close the door. I just, okay, great, well, I respect the fact that you're doing this now. You know what, why don't I send you my card, and then, you know, in the future, if things don't pan out, maybe we can talk. How does that sound? They're like, yeah, sure. Send them my info. And then I go and talk to my role play partners and say, hey, this is the objection I was hit with today. Help me work on this. Let's get through this. So that next time I hear that, it's not going to throw me off track. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's how serious we take this stuff. You know, that's why I'm fortunate to be part of that group that Jackie was talking about earlier, because everybody in that group, that's how they play. You know, it's serious. It's very, very serious stuff. You know, you work hard, you also play hard though. So, you know, when you take the time off, you take the time off, and that's what we do. But I have a passion for this. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I have a passion for this. I started my business on Force Up My Owners. I love doing this. I love presenting. I love teaching. I've been on stage with Gary in front of 10,000 people. I've done small groups like this. I mean, I just love doing it. I remember my first time speaking. The city of Worcester actually. This was about 2.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
The city of Worcester asked me to do a presentation for a program they're rolling out called Buy Worcester Now. It was an incentive program for first-time buyers. So they called me as one of the top agents in the town and said, hey, can you do a presentation for us? I said, sure. I had never spoke in front of a crowd before. I didn't really know what to expect, so I got to the new high school, and there was about 150 people. So I came out, and I had my notes, and I'll tell you what, my body came out, but my brain stayed back in the back room. It was a mess. It was just a mess. I don't know how I did manage to fight through it, and who knows, maybe I said a couple things that even made sense. Who knows, maybe I might not even making sense now. Regardless of that. You know what, I left there and I said, V, I'm never going to do that again. I've done never. 2 weeks later, I couldn't believe they called me back. Can you believe they called me back? He said, would you do it again? And I did it at the Board of Real Estate, and I slammed out there. You know what, but I didn't give up. You know, it's such an important story to share, because there's going to be times where we're going to call someone and it's just not going to go right. It's going to be, it could be horrible, it could be a disaster. It just doesn't matter. We got to keep going forward. And we all learn. We learn from our failures. That's really what we learn more from. We learn from our failures more than we do our successes. And finally, closing for the listing. You know, so our closing strategies, and this is all stuff that we're gonna get into. You know, fundamentally, you know, prospecting and lead generation is by far the most important thing that we can do every day. I mean, the one common if there's a common characteristic with everybody in that room that Jackie talked about, is that they all have consistent calendars and they all lead generate. And if they're not personally generating, most of them have teams like we do. They have people lead generating. That's the consistency every single day. So I mean, again, consistency, and going back to what I said earlier, a process, but structure is not up there yet. Structure is so important. Why do you think structure would be important? Anybody want to answer that question?
Makes it systematic.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I am losing track on the
Dan the Man, maybe.
Yes, Dan the Man, sorry about that. I knew I was in the right area over there. All right, good. Yeah, because what ends up happening is if you don't have structure and you don't have a system, you end up just kind of being all over the place. You know, that's one of the things that we've seen. So we've become really structured and systematized with everything we do. So we're going to talk a lot more about that. Let me just back up for 1 second. What's one of the main reasons why people do not call 470s and expires?
Fear.
I don't know what to say.
You guys saw that? Did you guys see that on the screen? No. All right, yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it is. Number one, fear of rejection. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to give one to Jackie for that.
Mary.
Mary.
No, you can give it to me. Well, that whole integrity thing, give it to Mary.
Are you up here yet?
Yeah, Michael.
Michael, all right. See, this is what happens when you start getting all you guys up here. All right, good. So I appreciate that. Yeah, fear of rejection, that's it. Now, remember what I said earlier about coming from contribution? If I'm coming from contribution, how could I fear rejection? Right? I'm here to help, that's it. Hey, if you want my help, if you want to take advantage of my help, great. I'm here for it. If not, then that's it. You know, and the other things here too is, this is a business. This is a business. Does everybody realize that? It's not personal. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of us can sometimes take it personal, that somebody doesn't want to talk to us. There's here's another boat. I love boats. Okay? There's a boat, and there's the captain and the first mate, and they're up on the deck, and they're looking out in the horizon, and they see 2 enemy ships. And the captain says to the first mate, he says, this is going to be a fierce battle. He says, I need you to get the red shirts out, because we're going to get bloodied up, and we don't want the men to see us in disarray. So that night they have a fierce battle. They fight, they win, they all celebrate. It's amazing. And then about a week later, they're sailing along, and the captain and the first mate are looking out in the horizon, and they see 10 enemy ships. The captain looks at the first mate and says, "First mate, get the brown shorts out." Just fun, that's it, just having fun. Think about that, right? Sometimes that's it. We just got to get out there and do it, right? Get outside of our comfort zone. You know, so, might be, is that a moat-proof? Is that
I'm not sure.
All right, okay.
They liked it.
All right, good. All right. So the brown, you know, get the brown shorts out sometimes. That's it. Just keep going. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, so again, it's a business. It's not personal. Sometimes we just have to do that stuff that is way outside of our comfort zone, and that's how we grow. That's how we expand, and that's how we, at least for me, how I got myself to the next level. And I know all the people that I talk to, these are things they're doing. You know, again, it's not, when you're making, you know, and that's why it says know your numbers. When you're making, you know, 25 calls to get one listing, you're getting rejected 24 times. And I don't take it personal. For me, it's part of the process. This process, yeah. It's part of the process, right? So I understand that. So hey, you know what? I get it. You're not interested right now. Great. I'll try you back in a few weeks, and I'm moving on to the next. I'm not going to take it personal. I'm not going to let one person, you know, get me off track. And Tony Robbins shares about his process with a salesperson is they understand their numbers, so they add a monetary value to each one. So if your average sale price is $7,500, and it takes you, say 100 to get one. What's 75 divided 100 divided by? That's what? $75. $75 exactly. So every no is equivalent to $75. That's how Tony does it. So when somebody says no to you, you say, "Oh well, hey, I appreciate the $75. Have a good day." Click. Move on to the next one. Right? Do you think that mindset's going to work a little bit better for us? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And if we simplify it like that, it really helps, because it's not personal. You're talking to somebody, and they could be having a bad day, and that's it. They might not want our services right now. It might just be too early in the process. And again, I share this stuff not because I'm up here, because I have this thing here and I have a PowerPoint, because I've done it. I've been doing it for 9 years, and I've called thousands and thousands of people. I've listed hundreds. I list about close to 200 properties every year, and the majority of them, not so much anymore, we do a lot more referral business now, but for years, it was probably 75% of my business were coming from for sale by owner and expired listings. So I know it, I do it, you know what I mean? So that's, I mean, again, it's because I've been there, I've felt it. You know, I've had a lady, you know, I call her up, I don't want to talk to any realtors, and hangs up the phone on me. I'm like, how dare that lady? I'll drive out to her house, you know what I mean? But that is what's going on in my head, but then I have to catch myself and say, whoa, part of the process. That lady has an issue, right? It's not me. Here's one, a guy, they taught a class in an office, in a local market center, and just like this, 2 agents after the class said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna start working for sale by owners. So the first agent gets in his car, he drives out to this prominent neighborhood, and he goes up to the door, there's a for sale by owner, he knocks on the door, and an old lady answers the door. And she says, you a realtor? He said, yeah. And she goes, I don't want any realtors, I'm selling this house myself, this is my house, I know every nook and cranny in this house. If I wanted to hire a realtor, I would have called you, don't you or any other realtor from your office ever knock on my door and get in. Slams the door in his face. The guy puts his head down, goes back to his car, and drives to the coffee shop. Right? Has a little pity party for himself. So now the next guy from the same office goes, knocks on the door, old lady answers the door, are you a realtor? Yeah. I don't want any realtors. If I want a realtor, I would have called a realtor. Okay, I'm selling this house myself. I know every nook and cranny in this house. Built this house myself. If I want a realtor, I would call you. Don't ever call my knock on my door again or call my house, and slams the door in the face. This guy's like, oh wow. So he goes next door, knocks on the guy's door, and says, hey, I'm a local realtor. I know the lady next door is trying to sell a house. She's got some serious issues. Do you know anybody else looking to buy or sell a house that I can call today? Right? Now, same situation, completely different mindset, right? Did the situation change at all?
No.
No. What changed?
It's mine.
This person, this guy. Now, what ended up happening was he got a listing. The guy said, oh, yeah, no, actually, we were thinking about selling our house. The first guy's at the coffee shop, right? Now, does the first guy have a problem? He created a problem for himself. Who really has the problem?
The lady.
Yeah, the little old lady's the one who has the problem. I don't have the problem. The little old lady's the one who has the problem. That's why I like to share that story, because it makes sense. I mean, if you think about that, it makes a lot of sense. So, again, back to Jim Rohn, don't wish you were easier, wish you were better. That's what it's all about.
The first guy does have a problem because he can't take rejection.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying, sir. He actually did go back to the coffee shop, so he does. He created a problem for himself,
Absolutely.
right? I'm sorry, Marvin, thank you, sir. You guys are just gonna have to help me a little bit with the names going forward. All right, good, so he created a problem for himself. The second realtor has no problem, and then the little old lady is actually the one who has the problem, unfortunately. So sometimes we can help them, other times we can't help them. So did you guys know, I just read this as a matter of fact, that 80% of people will not even take action if they feel that they're gonna get rejected? I couldn't even believe the number was that high. Did you guys know that?
No, that was hard.
Yeah, it's really high. 8 out of 10 people won't take action if they believe they're gonna get rejected. And then if the people that do take action and get rejected, the numbers are right here. It says 80% will not.
Bless you.
Bless you. It says after one attempt, 80% of the 80% will not take action again because they got rejected that one time. So what is that telling us? It's telling us systems, and it's telling us about persistency, being persistent, right? Being persistent, because it says right here that after 5 attempts, which let me actually ask you a question. How many times do you think it takes to convert a for sale by owner listing?
6.
How many?
6.
6, 7. How many?
I was told the average was about 8 hits on the customer.
Yeah, could be. You know, the average is actually 4 to 6. 4 to 6 times to convert a FSBO. That's how many times we're going to have to make contact with them. So based on that, if you're only willing to make contact once, why waste your time? Right? I mean, yeah, you'll get some. You'll get some. Some will list right away. You'll get that 1% that's willing to list right away. However, if you're not willing to make the commitment to to the 6 or 8 or 4 times, then don't bother. It says right here,